the linguist that I am understands that words are words for a reason. And we're using the word correction because sometimes you are wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to be corrected. We need to stop being afraid of words. We're using the word correction because you need to be corrected. And if we can't use that, it's going to be very hard for you to receive from God when he says, I correct the child that I love.
Hey, welcome back to Seriously Sis Podcast. And this week we're going to be talking about how to handle people who can't handle correction.
Yes.
Yes.
I find that there are areas in my life, not all of the parts of my life, but there are areas of my life where there seems to be plenty of people like that. So I feel like this will be timely. But I'm curious to know why you think we might be in that age now more so than other times.
I think a few things kind of play into it. I think people get defensive and offended really easily.
Mm.
Now, there's a couple of reasons probably. I think it starts from the way they grew up and maybe they were never corrected.
Mm.
And so when someone does correct them, now it's like, what are you doing? Like, who are you to talk to me this way? Have you lost your mind? Do you know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
But I also think pride is more rampant than I feel like it's ever been. Like everyone has such pride. And I think that a lot of like social media and we're editing photos to make ourselves feel better, look prettier, and kind of giving us this kind of armor of pride that when someone corrects us or says something to us, well, now we're offended because it can't be me.
Yeah. It's interesting that you start with childhood because that's not where my head was at all, but it makes complete sense. You know, I think about my upbringing. I had the kind of mom who would smack me, and I just don't see that as much with kids today, you know, and my mom would actually smack me, but she would also correct me and tell me how to do certain things. Like I remember one of my chores growing up was to clean the bathrooms, keep the bathrooms clean. And if it wasn't done to her liking, she would always come back and tell me what she wanted done. And I didn't finish until it was to her liking. And she said to me one time, your boss is going to ask you to do something one time before they find somebody else to do it. And that stuck with me as a child. Like I carried that into my adulthood. But it's because she corrected me in that way that I have the work ethic that I have today, because I know that was bathrooms, but I go back to that. And she was absolutely right. I've seen people get fired for this much. And but she taught me that, and I was in a place because I was in a home where people corrected us, and not just my parents, but my parents' friends, my aunts and uncles. Like it was a village. They were able to speak to us, but now we've got these parents who want to be gentle. And I don't want to, say anything to little Teddy that's going to upset him. Well, one day little Teddy's going to be a 35-year-old man who's going to have no work skills or anything like that and not be able to receive any kind of correction, which most correction, if not all of it, coming from good people, is for your benefit.
Right.
He'll be a 35-year-old who can't take any correction and it will ruin his life. So I'm glad that you brought up home life and upbringing, because it does start there, even more so than what I was going to say. I think it does start there.
When you think about it, if someone comes into a establishment or a business and they bring their kids and their kids are going nuts, just not listening, rude, your immediate response would be, they need to parent them. Someone better whoop that child's butt, they're letting their kids just do whatever in public. Like, why are they doing that? And it wasn't like that when I was growing up. You didn't see kids just running rampant, just acting crazy. No, you know why? Because our parents would have beat our butts.
Yeah.
Going to the bathroom and getting your butt spanked was not a thing when I was a kid. They spank your butt right there in the middle of JCPenney's. I do not care. I just think that things have changed quite a bit, and it's got to the point, not only do we have a generation of people, and I think it's only getting worse, that parents kind of coddled them, and every time something is done that's wrong and it's on their behalf, you did something, I want to justify why it was right.
Right.
Let me justify that you didn't technically do anything wrong. It's really the other person's fault.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a whole thing in and of itself, and I'm going to go back to that, but I don't want to lose my thought in something else that you said earlier. This is, and I need everyone to hear my heart correctly on what I'm about to say because it could get easily clipped and be taken left. But you said there was no our parents taking us in the bathroom and spanking us. We got our butts whooped right there. That's true. And I think part of it is that when that happened, it was embarrassing. Like
Right.
when we got embarrassed in
Getting it
public.
corrected in front of people is embarrassing.
Yes, but it establishes good shame. And this is the part I don't want people to misunderstand. I'm not saying that we go around shaming people. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a such thing as good shame because shame keeps you from doing stupid stuff. Like when you know someone's going to find out that I did this and it's going to make me look not only bad, but how I actually am, it keeps you from doing certain things.
Right.
But when kids in particular never have to experience good shame, then they grow up expecting to never having to experience it. So when they do find someone who's like, wait a minute, that you're doing is not okay, they don't know how to handle it
Right.
because they didn't have the mom who punched them in their chest standing in Walmart.
Or they don't even have, like in school, bullying's a huge thing now, right? Like when I was a kid, I feel like it was called peer pressure more than bullying. Certain things, there was bullying, right? But for the most part, most things fell into peer pressure. And nowadays it would be bullying. And I'm going to share a story. So, I have a lot of kids, right? I'm not going to say which one, but I had one kid that she was a stinky kid. She would never wear deodorant, and I'd ask her to wear deodorant. I had her grandparents asking me, are they going to wear deodorant like when I'm buying? She just would not do it. Well, let me tell you what. When she went to school, I don't know what they said to her. But she started wearing some deodorant.
Yeah.
And I said, man, there's just something those kids did at that school that I myself could not accomplish. Didn't matter how many times I told her, hey, you need to put your deodorant on.
Right.
Hey, listen to me. You trust me, this is what you want to do. When she went into, I don't know if it was middle school, I can't quite remember. Maybe
it probably was middle school. Middle school is the worst.
Immediately, all of a sudden, it's not just deodorant, it's perfume. She's bathing in the stuff, right? And there was just something about that pressure that was put on her. And they probably were picking on her a little bit. I think some of that's healthy, clearly. And she started wearing her deodorant and started caring about her physical appearance and caring about the way she smelled. And it was a benefit to me. I was happy about
and your
it.
Nose.
And everybody else, her grandparents, everyone's like, thank God, she's wearing deodorant. But I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
But I mean, to kind of wrap all of this up, I feel like what we're saying is that there was an early precedence like that happened, and it happened from the right person. Like you said, it wasn't you, it was whoever. But there was an early precedence that was set. And then there was a response because of that experience. But I'm sure she learned afterwards, yeah, it's probably just better, to wear deodorant. And
yes.
And it makes you adjust, is my point. Like when you have those experiences, when you receive correction. But if you never put a child in a position to be told no,
right,
to be told that, or even just redirect it. Like it doesn't always have to be a hard no. It could just be like, this is not the way for you to get where you're trying to get. Then if that precedence is not set early, they grow into adults who can't handle it whenever it does eventually happen. When it does happen early, it's funny. I think there's a scripture that says, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they're old, they won't depart from it. Something like that. But when you do that, they fare better. Now, I do want to say this, now that we've tackled the home part, which I'm so glad that you brought up. I was going to say that I think the reason is because we affirm everything. So not only are we not correcting people on the things that are wrong, we're affirming the things that are wrong. Like it's one thing to just keep your mouth shut and not say anything. It's a whole other thing to say, kudos to you for doing that wrong thing.
Right.
To the point where we establish a mindset of there's nothing bad about me or correctable about me,
I'm perfect.
which feeds into that pride that you were talking about. So when someone comes along, what do you mean? What do you mean there's something I need to change? Everybody's always affirmed me. And churches nowadays affirm everything. And everywhere you turn and look on TV, social media, everything is affirming. So the one person who is the lone voice who's saying, hey, I think you might need to adjust here. Well, clearly you're wrong because everybody else is co-signing what I'm doing.
Right. And that's where you run into, like, how many times have you seen someone, and this isn't wrong. I mean, it is wrong, but it's not malicious.
Sure.
You know, someone comes to you and they're wearing an outfit and you know it's god awful. You know it's not good. You know it's not flattering, and they ask you, "How does this look on me?" And your response is, "Girl, you look good." Knowing that they do not look good.
Yeah.
Knowing that they look horrible, but you're like, "You know what? You ate with that." Or whatever, you know.
I need you to let that go. You never do it right.
I'm gonna figure it out. But it is affirming. Like, we're telling people what they want to hear at the expense of the person, because we don't want to put ourselves in an awkward situation. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen someone with their zipper down and I'm like, man, I really need to go tell them their zipper's down. But I'm gonna wait until there's not so many people around, right? I don't know how many times I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, if that was me and someone did not tell me, I'd be so upset. Like, we don't even tell people when it is at a benefit of them because we're so concerned. Are they going to get embarrassed? I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Sure.
I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to be that person. You know, we all have one of those people that always have something to say.
Yes.
We don't want to be, I think they're called Karens. We don't want to fall into that subject. We don't want to be those subject matter experts.
Yeah.
The Karen group. You know, like, and so there's a way to give correction. And I hate the word correction. I don't know what other word to use, but there's a way to give feedback, or because some things aren't correction, it's just your opinion. And
that's
your opinion
true.
may be beneficial.
Yeah.
And it may just be your opinion, but you need to give it because they need to hear it.
Yes. But stop you for just a second. The linguist that I am understands that words are words for a reason. And we're using the word correction because sometimes you are wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to be corrected. We need to stop being afraid of words. We're using the word correction because you need to be corrected. And if we can't use that, it's going to be very hard for you to receive from God when he says, I correct the child that I love. So yeah, there are certain things that are opinions or suggestions, which are probably based in wisdom, but would you be wrong if you didn't do it? Maybe not. But there are definitely things that you need to not do this, and you need to do this, and it is a correction. And we've got to stop letting people make things buzzwords that we stay away from. No, you need to be corrected. And when I was corrected in my life, it sucked, but it was good for me. So if I had to go through it, the rest of y'all got to go through it. I'm sorry.
So when dealing with people who don't take correction well, you know, I feel like, no offense, that's the majority of adults nowadays. It's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how many times I've hired someone. They've told me, I love feedback. I love coaching. I just want to hear all of it. And then when you're giving them feedback, that's not the person I interviewed.
Right.
You don't seem to really like the feedback and like the coaching. So how do you navigate and deal with someone who you need to correct them, but you know that they're not open to correction, or they're not going to take correction well?
Well, see, I know you hate when I say this.
I know your approach is going to be different than mine, so I'm just ready.
Well, I think you're about to really hate what I'm about to say.
I already know what's coming.
It depends on the situation. And here's why. Because there are certain circumstances in which if you know that someone is not going to be able to receive your correction, you should just be quiet. Because in Proverbs, we're given instruction that says that it's folly, essentially, to correct a foolish person. But a wise person will receive with joy your correction. I've paraphrased that scripture heavily. But that's essentially the gist of it. So the heart behind that being someone who's dead set in doing things their way, and they've made it clear, I don't want your correction, you just become a clanging cymbal to them. So if it's a situation in which that's warranted, then I would just say, wait until you have their ear. You have miles with that person, you've established a relationship or something like that. But every situation is not that situation.
Right.
There are certain situations where it doesn't matter whether they're ready or not to receive it, because they
Gotta
need to
rip the
receive
Band-Aid
it.
off.
You have to, whether it's a work situation or if it's a safety situation, whatever the case may be, you have to do it. Then I would say just be mindful of your approach. You can only do what you can do, right? I'm only responsible for what I do. I'm not responsible for how someone takes what I have to say, but I am responsible for not going in with the intent to make somebody mad. Like, that should never be our heart, to make someone mad. You have to go into it with the right heart, but you also need to be clear. So if it's a situation where I have to give a correction, then I just do that. Like, I let them know. If we don't have miles, if we have miles together and I got to do all this backstory with you, that's ridiculous. But if I don't have miles with that person, I let them know where I'm coming from. This is because if you pivot here, I can see you reaching this goal. Or if you pivot here, it'll help the rest of us do X, Y, and Z. Whatever it is, this is why I need you to pivot. Here's what I need you to pivot on because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I need to mush that in between a compliment piece of bread on this side and then a
crab
compliment
sandwich.
piece of bread on that side, then I will do that.
Perfect. That's what we call that.
Yes, I know.
Good, bad, good.
Mm-hmm.
Ended on a high note. I like that you say your approach depends upon the person, and it should change according to in my opinion, according to the person. I know not everyone agrees with that. I always say when you're going to someone with correction, you're going to someone giving feedback or whatever it may be, if you have a relationship with that person, you should know
right
how they're going to handle feedback and how they're going to get it. And my approach changes according to person. Now, that's not because I'm being fake.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I understand how they're going to receive the feedback. If I know they struggle to receive the feedback, I might need to make a crap sandwich for them. And I might need to, give them the feedback directly. Don't sugarcoat the feedback, because I don't believe in fluffing it up. Let's not fluff it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, let's be honest and truthful, but let's say it in a way that has compassion and empathy. Let's keep those two things top of mind, because I understand this person doesn't receive feedback well.
Right.
Sometimes I think we let our pride get in the way, and it's like, nah, I'm going to tell them how it is.
Yeah.
And you have to think, am I approaching this in a way that, one, I'm frustrated? Mm-hmm. And so now I'm going to go give them feedback and really tell them what I think. And I'm good at it. I'm real good at it, right? Mm-hmm. And two, what are you hoping to gain from it? I've said that on a couple podcasts. What are you hoping to gain from it? So if I'm going to you with feedback and I know that you're really strong-willed and you may not see eye to eye with me, but I want you to see eye to eye with me, my approach is not going to be super direct. I'm not going to bulldoze my way to you. You know why? Because I know Julia is not going to budge as soon as I start doing that. She's going to be 10 feet in the ground, 10 toes down, not move, because I'm like telling you this is what needs to happen and this is the way. But if I sit and I have a conversation and I ask, and we've done this before, ask you questions so I understand what you're thinking and what you're saying, well, then I know how to approach you. Now I'm like listening to Julia's thought process and the way Julia's thinking. And I'm going to figure out a loophole to bring in what Julia needs to hear.
To manipulate Julia. No, I'm kidding.
I guess if you call it that.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to find this space, and then Julia's going to hear me, because I'm not coming at her in a way where I'm just coming to give you correction. You did something wrong. I'm here to smack your hand. I'm coming at you in a way where we're having a conversation, and I'm taking you where I know we need to go in this conversation. And it's no different than what I would do in a work sense, right? I bring people in all the time and we have conversations, and I take them where I want them to go. Are they aware half the time? No. I'm leading them to where the conversation needs to go. It's no different when you're trying to give some correction. Come at it in a place where you're empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you aren't trying to embarrass them. You're not trying to get them to poke out their chest and show you who's boss.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand when that happens, because then I feel like I now have to poke my chest out, and then it's going to be a whole situation, right?
Whose pride is bigger?
Like, oh, you want to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we get prideful.
Sure.
And I've had conversations like this with people when I'm talking about correcting and going to someone with correction and what needs to be said to them, and how I have kind of taken myself out of the equation and put it to where, I'm putting them first to have these conversations. And I've had people tell me, well, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for nobody. I'm not asking you to sugarcoat it. I want you to tell the truth, and I want you to be direct. But I also don't want you to come in there like, let's just rip this Band-Aid off and I'm just going to say whatever I'm feeling and completely negate how you're going to receive it. I don't care what your emotions are in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right, you're wrong. End of story.
Yes. As you were talking, I was like, I know what she was expecting me to say. And I'm going to go back to that because I have to sprinkle a little bit of that on there. But no, you're 100% right. And I think I've said it on past episodes that one of the things that I learned how to do, which has been helpful to me, is different scenario, but it works for this too, is to not just respond to the question, but respond to the questioner. In other words, don't just respond based upon the situation. Respond in a way in which you're trying to capture that person's heart, which is what you're essentially saying. Is you have to know how someone can receive something in order for it to be a beneficial and fruitful conversation. Because you can go in guns a-blazing and that person shut down completely. You've said everything that you wanted to say, but nothing still gets done because they couldn't receive it. So you're 100% right. This is what you expected me to say. You expected me to say, it's not my responsibility how they take it. And it isn't.
That's exactly what I thought she was going to say. But to an extent, it is.
No, well, let me back up. What I'm saying is that even with the best of intentions,
right,
if someone is dead set against not hearing me,
then that's on them.
There's nothing I can do about that. That's what I mean when I say that. Not to say that I don't consider their feelings, don't consider their background, don't consider their thought process. You should always do that. And forgive me if I've ever come across like I'm saying you shouldn't. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if I've done all of those things and that person is still dead set on not receiving, that's a them heart thing.
Right.
I can't do anything about that. But I think sometimes people will let that stop them from saying the truth. That's what I'm saying. That you can't be so afraid of people not receiving you that you never tell the truth.
And even if you don't think they receive it, you don't know what the Lord's doing on the back end.
Right.
You really don't. I've done it both ways. I've been a bull in a china closet. I have been a strong-armed my way in a conversation, and I walked out victorious. I won. I put them in their place. I've been there. And then when I walk out, really, I didn't win anything.
Right.
I just dominated the whole situation and made sure that they realize I'm boss. Is that winning?
No.
Not really. Not
especially
really.
If you don't get what you need.
And at the end of it, I have someone who thinks I could care less about them. I have someone who isn't bought in. I got someone who thinks that, the only thing I literally look at them and it's a number. I have people who are like, well, she doesn't care what I think. She doesn't care about me and my well-being. Oh, she just wants to be right.
Sure.
I've been there. I've done that. And I've walked out and I thought afterwards, man, I wish I would have handled that differently. Even when they were acting crazy and bucking up, I wish I wouldn't have.
Right.
I wish I would have maintained professionalism. That's what I always say. I wish I would have been, just sat there and not had to be the person that told them, be quiet.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Let them have their moment. I learned that a long time ago. Hey, sometimes what's the hurt of being quiet?
Yeah.
And, people, we live in a day and age where people are emotional, man. I don't know if they were always like this, but they're super emotional, right? And they have, so much going on. There's so much going on in the world. People are stressed out. And we don't know what they're going through.
Exactly.
We don't know what their stressors are. Don't have a clue of it. So when you go to them with correction and they decide that they're going to lose it
Mhm.
and they just can't handle what you're saying to them, might be all right to just sit there and be like, clearly you need a moment. Let me give you your moment. I'll be back.
Mhm.
That's me. I'm like, I'm not sitting here for this. I'll be back when you're ready. But there's so much more in the situations where I sat down and I let them make a ridiculousness of themselves. I know that sounds bad, but I let them do whatever. And I was calm and I was still like to the point, and I stood on what I came here to
Sure.
talk to you about. I felt good when I walked away from those. I may not have put anyone in their place.
Mhm.
I may not have stood on position or authority. I may not have done any of those things.
Right.
But at the end of it, um, I was authentic to myself
Mhm.
and I treated people like a human.
Right.
How hard is that? Like, just
Exactly.
give a crap about people.
Mhm.
You're going to run into people that just can't take correction.
Yeah, you are.
Let the Lord handle them.
Exactly.
But if your thought is, you should always be analyzing, and I do this regardless, even if I sit back and I don't say anything. Sometimes, like, man, I really should have said something there. I should have said X, Y, and Z. I'm always analyzing how the conversation went and what I could have done better.
Mhm.
And as long as you keep that approach, you'll always grow and you'll be better and better and better at having these conversations. You know me, I don't have a problem telling someone when they're wrong or correcting them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say I'm going to say it this way, and Julia laughs at me, and then I come in, I feel like a better approach. My
To
natural
be
reaction.
clear, I know that you're not going to say it that way. That's why I'm laughing at you, because I'm just like, she's saying this, but she's not going to do that.
I want to say it like this, but I won't.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. And I experience that with you much more than I do the other, unless you're talking to me. Then it's a different situation. But as you were talking, there was just one more thing I wanted to say in terms of how to handle someone when you need to give them correction is make sure that you express to them that you're not tying this correction to their value.
Right.
Like, we're correcting something in a process, like a process that, a work process. You did not handle this thing in the way that needed to be handled, in a way that it needed to be handled in to achieve this outcome. But this doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person,
Right.
Um, and I think if you go in with that mindset, that helps. And if you say that, you don't have to say it just like that, but you can say, tell the truth. Like, we call it a crap sandwich. I will never put the truth between two lies. Like, if I'm going to tell you something good about yourself, it's because I really think these things are good about you.
Right.
I'm softening the blow, but I really do think that these things are good about you. But establish that, like, listen, you are a phenomenal a part of this team. If they really are, you are a phenomenal part of this team. You do this, and this really well. I think that we can help you do just as well in this area if we pivot right here, and you've established that you're an asset to this team. You do things very well. Let me tell you what they are. Then you get to the correction thing, because it lets them know that, like, I'm not just being beaten over my head for all the things I'm not. I'm just being pointed out about something that needs to be better.
Right.
And when you take people's value off of the table, when you're bringing a correction in there, I think it's easier for them to receive. If it's a character thing, like if you're correcting someone for a character reason, you can still do the same thing. Like, I see that this thing that you're doing is causing you to behave this way, which makes people perceive you this way. But I know that's not who you are. I
Right.
know that's not how you are. I know that's not the way you want to be perceived. So let's look at this and see where we can pivot. I think most of the time people have a hard time taking correction because they feel as though people are attacking who they are and not so much what they just trying to shine a light on what they did. And if we can establish that, no, you're someone who Christ died for. You're someone who I want to work with, who I want to do this thing well with. If we can establish that from the beginning, we have a better chance at having their ear.
Right.
Now, if I've done all that and you're still dead set on not hearing anything that I have to say, from that point, how you take it is not my responsibility. But I was never mean.
But don't ever let that be a reason not to speak up. Like,
Right.
don't let someone's lack of ability to handle correction make it to where you don't correct.
Exactly.
Well, they're not going to hear me anyway. So even though I know they shouldn't be doing that, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to go over in the corner. And yeah, I think it's easier for me to say that because, in a corporate standpoint, a leader can never do that.
Right.
I can't ever say, oh, well, I'm just not going to address this and leave it alone because as it gets bigger, now it's your fault because you didn't address it. So I think
Exactly.
naturally I want to address things. But another thing that I was thinking is when you're going, and correction is inevitable in any relationship you're in, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have to correct someone at some point. But don't let that be the only type of conversations you're having. Nobody ever wants to talk to someone who every time they talk to them, they always have a suggestion that they could do something better.
Right.
They always have an opinion on what they didn't do well. Nobody wants to talk to those kind of people. I have worked for people, and maybe not worked for people, but had people that I have seen in leadership where it seemed like nothing was ever good enough, and there was always a correction, always something to be said. That's not an effective method of correcting. You have to treat people like humans.
Right.
Like, especially, I mean, if you're a Christian and you can't even master the art of treating people like they matter, that they're your, sons and daughters of the Most High, and like, if you can't master that, I think you need to take a couple steps back and figure that out first. I know whenever I first got into leadership, I don't know, decades ago, I used to pray, God would give me a heart for people, because people are annoying sometimes.
Yeah, they are.
And the most annoying of them are the ones I need the most heart for. And one of the best corrections that I ever was given is I had a leader who was invested in me come to me, and I was doing everything right on paper. There was nothing wrong with my performance. There was nothing wrong with where I was working. I was doing phenomenal. The bomb. I was doing great. And his correction for me, he said, when it came to numbers, he's like, Madison, you can run numbers all day long. I'm like, okay. But I don't think your team likes you. And my first response, I've said that, why do I care? But he corrected me. And when he corrected me, it made me a better leader. Because then I started thinking, well, if he cares that they like me, then I probably need them to like me. That was my first response. Not like, oh, I want to be friends. I want them to like me. It was more, I can do this without them. Why does it matter? My method is effective. Look at the way this is running. Best thing you ever seen. Like, what in the world? But then I thought, if he's telling me that it's important that you have a team that likes you, there has to be some value here. There has to be a reason he's telling me that.
Right.
And so I started changing my leadership approach. And the day and age I'm in now, if my leaders didn't like me, I'd be in big trouble. I would be stressed out all the time, right? Like, and even from like a volunteer capacity or what I do at church, if the people on stage, if I did not lead them well and I didn't genuinely care about them and they didn't like me, I get declines every Sunday. My whole list would just be all red. Planning Center would be a joke, right? No one would want to work with me because I'm not likable. So I think that, like I said, we're in a day and age where good feedback's rare and correction's rare. I think sometimes we stop correcting people because we're so concerned. One, they're not going to listen to us, or two, not my pony, not my show. Yeah. But if you see your brother stumbling, it's your pony, it's your show.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say this just as a final thought that we talked a lot about, correcting people in like a work sense or, volunteer capacity, but all these things like extend to relationships.
Right.
Like your families, your friends, stuff, the same stuff still applies. Some of the people that we treat the worst are the ones who are closest to us. So if you have people in your life that you want to be able to speak into their life, how are you treating them? Do they know that that they are valued by you? Do you give them their flowers whenever they have worked and earned their flowers? What is your approach with them? It's not just a corporate thing. It's not just a church thing. It's a in your home thing. If you want your kids to receive correction from you, do they know that you love them? And I don't mean just I said it. Like, do they know that my mom and dad is knocking some stuff down to get to me if something pops off? Like, do they know that you love them? If so, their hearts are more inclined to be able to receive from
I
you.
think that's a whole podcast in itself. Your kids don't know that you love them. We'll talk about it.
Listen, it's a thing. We should write it down so we don't forget.
How do you make your kids know you love them?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I just wanted to make that distinction just so that it's clear that this is every area of your life, not just your work life or, not just volunteering or stuff like that. Every area of your life, you will find yourself in a position to either need to or have to give correction. And the way that you do it definitely matters.
It does. And I agree, especially from a family standpoint. Like, if I correct my kids and they don't think I love them, I don't think that's going to go very well long term.
Yeah.
Right? No, but don't let being scared of ruining relationships stop you from correcting people.
Sure.
Hopefully we gave you guys some tips and tricks. I don't know what we would do.
What we try to do anyway. A lot of this is from experience.
And we're not perfect. We can share this because we've gotten it wrong so many times.
Yeah.
There's been many times after the fact that I'm like, I really wish I would have done that differently.
Which leads me to another thing that you need to write down, that we need to do a whole video on why we started this podcast in the first place.
Okay.
Because that you just said has a lot to do with it. But I'm done. You got anything else?
Nope, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next time.